Introducing Dzign Moments. Come join me as I have exclusive interviews with our awesome clients, highlighting their businesses and the incredible work we've done together. Hi everyone. Today I've engaged with Abigail Betts, our client that's engaged with Dzign Studio to get some branding done for her book, Pieces with You. So we're here today to highlight Abigail and get some exposure out there because, you know, as an author, it's a pretty lonely journey, and we're so excited to have engaged with Abigail as our first author and help her to get some profiling out there in that social media world out there. And we just wanted to, you know, give her the opportunity to, you know, tell us a bit more about her. And the book's an amazing book. I've read it myself, and if you haven't seen it yourself yet, Pieces with You, and I believe there's another one on the horizon very, very soon. So I just want to welcome Abigail Betts. Thank you for joining us, Abigail.
Thanks, Michelle, for the invite. It's been a bit of a journey, yeah. The book itself was written over a year ago because it does have a fairly long line in the process of creating any book. So it was published, probably a year ago, but really starting to move forward now with just getting it out there. It's one of those things I'm learning as I move more into the marketing game that, there is a process with that too, but it's also important to let people know that you've actually got something, 100%. So that you can show it off, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
You put all this work into a book and, it gets published and then where to from here? I guess there's a lot of authors out there that are in the same boat that, have these amazing books. They might, they've spent lots of money getting the book published, and it's just, it's a hard slog trying to get the branding and that out there. If you're not, if you haven't got deep pockets, that's the thing, it's about.
Yeah, I mean, it is. There's so many tools now that you can do your own self-publishing, fairly reasonably priced in that framework of, go everything as free as you can and do it yourself, but it still is at a level that you need to be putting quality out there as well. So it does have a cost when you want to get it to be more professional. Employing someone to do the marketing, because it's not my specialty. So, and thank you very much for taking me on. I'm very pleased about that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah. And look, having read the book myself, I absolutely love it. And it really made me feel, check in with myself, for goodness sake, and understand that, it's about time to have that peace within me. Like I was so impressed with it all. And I wanted to sort of go through and just discuss the book a bit more with you, because I mean you've got a great story, where you've come from and where you are now, and I'm sort of curious how the book sort of came together for you. It's always fascinated me how people bring a book together, and how do you feel about that? Would you like me to? I'll just ask you a few questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, great. Well, let's do this. I mean, Abigail is a well-being therapist, and she's focused on helping others handle the practical methods of managing and running a business. She started an earth-moving business with her husband many years ago, and Abigail's life experience in self-care as a business owner is very broad. In matters of business and growing a family, a divorce and moving homes, and a few times in those years, life has brought her through many changes, and now she's able to settle in to enjoy the sunsets, as the book says. So, Abigail, in your book on page 157, you mention. Look, by the way, everybody, you can get this as an Audible. So in the book on page 157, you mention the importance of connecting with nature for inner peace. And how do you see this playing out in a country famous for its stunning natural environments like Australia?
I think we are lucky that we've got such a broad range of natural environments that we can actually enjoy. But ultimately, because of the way that the book came about, my thinking of peace, there's been a few experiences in my life that I've had that it's been an utter, it's almost like a cosmic experience of that peacefulness in just the plainest of environments. One of the times I can remember was walking in a paddock that on a property that my husband and I owned at the time, and it was like I was in another world, just in some of that moment of taking the steps. It was being present in the steps and fully enjoying that feel of the crunch as my foot trod on the dirt and kept moving forward step by step. And, other instances of similar experiences where I felt so totally at peace. It was an utterly different space. And it was more so out in the natural world. So at the beach, I feel it more frequently, that similar experience of being at peace. And, I was going through a really busy time, and I've known I wanted to write for a long time, and decided, that the right opportunity came to learn the business of doing a book, because it is a bit of a business. There's more than just putting
pen to paper, so to speak.
Exactly. More to just doing that. Yeah. I invested in myself by doing that.
Find that inner peace, within yourself is really gold when we live in such a busy world. And another question about your book, on page 83, you discuss the role of community in, fostering peace. How do you think Australian communities, known for their mateship and solidarity, can strengthen this aspect?
It's one of those, once we're because part of the book is going through that process of looking within ourselves to understand what we're blocking our own peacefulness, how we're blocking it, what sort of conditioning we've been given over our upbringings and etc. It goes through part of that. And we are in a society that is quite good with the mateship solidarity and that, but it seems to be waning a little bit as well, because we are becoming more multicultural. One of those things that does, one of the phrases that comes to mind, and I can't remember where it originated, but it was more with the African society, and it takes the village to raise a child. Yes. That type of aspect of really looking after each other. So if someone is feeling out of sorts, it is that community and being able to give yourself permission to share it in being vulnerable, but sharing that so that you can look after each other, not just self, but it is each other in that community. And mateship, being friends, what's the thing we really are after? It is friendship being that base of its love, the unconditional love, mateship. Yep. It comes to that feeling and understanding of it's an unconditional. You're not putting conditions on mateship or friendship and really helping each other in that. You just get there and do it. Bushfires and that certainly show that up.
Oh, we're known for that, aren't we, as Australians? We really are known for that community grouping process that we do. And whenever there's adversity in our country, it's an amazing culture we do have, and it's amazing to see the multicultural community coming together and being a part of that mateship too. It's a great thing to see and to be evolving. Like, one thing I find, people just think they're alone and they're on their own journey and they've got to do it all alone. It's not the case. If you really find yourself and understand that peace within yourself, you do see that the offerings are available.
Yeah. It does start at that base level. It really is that within you, because it's the only aspect of what is controllable that we have. It is ourselves. We can't control other people's opinions and the ways that they act. We just, have an awareness of how we are understanding and reacting to people or acting first, and branching out with that loving heart, that is peaceful interaction. Yeah.
That's it. You're absolutely right. So Abigail, what inspired you to write pieces with you? And did any Australian authors or stories play a part in this inspiration?
Look, I couldn't say specifically if it was Australian authors. I think it's more been that factor of how I've moved through the process of my own maturing as a person, as an adult, from being a mother, a wife, all of that, through the divorce. And it wasn't a nasty anything through all that. It was just the process of looking within and saying to myself, I can't live with this, do this or whatever. I need to understand better this way and feel that I'm a person. It started more so with my own identity, because everything had been lived through as a daughter, then a wife, mother, business owner, all that sort of thing, and not who is Abigail in this.
Who is Abigail, exactly. And I love that about your book. When I was listening to it, I'm thinking, oh my goodness me, we really, as mothers, as daughters, as, wives, or, we really, our identity is the role. It's not us.
Yeah.
And I just love that about your book, how you bring that to light.
Yeah. So, I think the influence of, as far as from the point of being Australian, it's had that Australian flavour because that's where I live. And that's how I've been brought up, as in an Australian context. And I certainly do have an Aussie accent, and I relax my H's and all sorts of stuff that's really quite slack, and definitely Aussie. And
Definitely.
I'm, do we call ourselves proud of that? It's just who I am.
It is.
So as far as the influences go, life itself is actually the influence, I think, and I live in a wonderful country. So I do want to express what I write in that flavour.
In that flavour. Fantastic. I love good answer. Great answer. So do you think there's a difference in the pursuit of peace between city dwellers and those living in the country in Australia? How does your book address these different lifestyles, would you say?
I don't know that it expresses it touches on that specifically, but it's just the observation that there are differences, and the way that there is the thinking and understanding from those perspectives of rural to urban. There seems to be a divide, because how does a city dweller, an urbanite, really relax? I haven't actually lived in that situation myself personally, but I do have family that have lived most of their adult lives in the city. And for here it would be, how do they relax? Well, they go and play golf. Does it give them peace? I think it is the sports arena that has a heavy influence in Australian culture, even, as far as that being the peaceful place to do their relaxing is sports, whether it's surfing, whether it's golf, whether it's football and that sort of thing. Especially more so in the country, it's almost like your rural football leagues and stuff like that, and mostly around where I've lived, it's been the Australian rules football, not the soccer or rugby. I'm in the area that it is Aussie rules. So, that you have your small country towns really do have an important emphasis on the sports, whether it's the football or the tennis or sailing in the instance that I had when I was young and raising my children. There's so much difference in that open space feel in how I was raised and what I experienced in that area, country, big spaces. Now the urbanites, city dwellers, they tend to be buying the four-wheel drives and taking camper vans or caravans out and about to experience that. And I sense the tension in getting everything right and keeping up with the Joneses, like that aspect of it, that it doesn't, to me, engender peacefulness. And especially when you go to drive on the roads and the amount of extra users that are in there, slower vehicles towing and all of that. Is it peaceful? Look, I haven't discussed it all that deeply in the book, but I certainly have put that process of the PEACE format so that you can at least gain that inner peace even whilst experience those tensions on the outer. That is part of what the book is trying to show and give as, a way to, at least if it's causing you to pull your hair out on the outside, you've got that peacefulness that you're not actually doing that. You retain your hair.
That's right. That's right. Very true. Very true. Like, you said earlier that, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I find, just growing up in the country myself, our lives revolved around sport, and we had the footy in the winter and the cricket in the summer. That's where it's our community, and
I forgot to mention cricket.
Oh, goodness me. Yes. That's why I'm mentioning it, because goodness me, it's that time of year that we're talking here.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And look, it's so appropriate that we are talking right now, because we've got Australia Day looming down on us, which is now, it's in a bit of controversy too, but we won't go there. That's okay. But it is a day that we celebrate having grown up in the country and having, had those experiences in our lives. And that peace does come about because you've got a purpose. I think that's where it comes with sport, to my understanding. I know with golf, you got to focus on where you're going to hit the ball next. You don't have time to think about other stuff, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's interesting, isn't it? The whole dynamics around what we do and how we live. Absolutely.
Yeah. Peace isn't just that end result after war and the involvement of what has been over history and still happens worldwide, as we know. It's that really does start inside ourselves. And the more that people can actually take on that for themselves, the inner change, I think the better result we'll have with calming the waters on a more global level, because that energetics is being put out as calming waters.
100%. I totally agree. Well, another thing, just one last question for our little interview here. This is really great. So you talk about peace in the context of personal struggles on page 45, with mental health being a big talking point in Australia. How can your insights help individuals facing these challenges?
I think because how the book's moving through the various stages of looking at that inner self, what are we actually moving through as a self-analysis. We do go through the early years, the teenage and the more adult years of now it's slipped my tongue, retrospectively looking within, so that we can see, well, where does some of our beliefs come from as far as, our upbringing. It is how we were conditioned, and it does speak a bit about that in there, so that we can at least then understand, well, I've changed since then, and bringing that that we've changed from to understanding where we're at with those understandings of self in the present moment now. Would we be any different from those days? Yes, we would. And then sort of moving into some of the steps to choose a different way of doing things and being, and to understand it is to do a little bit more with taking a proactive approach to our own mental health. And that can be, changing our way of eating, our way of understanding other people, our way of understanding ourselves, so that we are putting into place that is, I'm trying to think of the word. Anyway, being able to see from that different angle.
Embrace it, I guess.
Act on that, as far as it's not what I've conditioned to. I'm choosing to do this differently.
Yeah.
That one where if you keep making the same mistake over and over and expecting the same results, you're not learning, you're not changing.
No, that's right.
We do need to do something differently to get a different result.
We do. And keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same result, they say, don't they?
Yeah. That one, yeah.
Yeah.
So, exactly. So, but we need to know where we've come from first. So I do go through that a little. It's, I don't have any degrees or anything. This is all written from my own life experience and understanding as I've moved through that growing process, looking at my own shadows a bit. And it's not going to be a completed project. There is continuing life that brings out more that needs to be looked at.
We're forever learning, aren't we? We're forever learning. And I think if we embrace that and understand that it's okay to have that change during our journey, we can take on board that whole idea of learning about ourselves instead of being guided and shown or told this is how it's to be, And I think that as we get older and we mature, we understand that even more. So, that's great.
And sometimes we just don't know the questions to ask because we don't know.
That's it.
And the situation itself will bring something up that we didn't realise we had a understanding about that probably isn't quite 100% correct.
That's right.
And needing to learn. Oh, okay. And being open to listening.
Open to
Listening's a huge skill that we don't always practice very well. Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah. We're all too quick to have an opinion, but everyone's entitled to an opinion, and that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's understanding. It is an opinion. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, this has been wonderful, Abigail. Thank you so much for all your time. I really am so grateful. It's been great.
Thank you.
Introducing Dzign Moments. Come join me as I have exclusive interviews with our awesome clients, highlighting their businesses and the incredible work we've done together.